What would you do if the most dangerous man in Atlantic City raised a poison glass and you were the only one who saw death floating inside it? Harper Quinn was just a bartender at the Velvet Pier, working another midnight shift beneath casino lights, fake smiles, and the sound of rain beating against the boardwalk windows. She knew how to stay invisible. Keep your head down, pour the drink, forget the faces, survive the night. But when Cole Maddox, the man everyone feared, reached for that bourbon, Harper's hand moved before her fear could stop it. 5 words on a napkin changed everything. Smile. Don't drink. Leave now. If you watch until the end, you'll see how one warning pulls her into betrayal, power, danger, and a love that might ruin them both. Like this video and comment where you're watching from. The napkin stopped beside Cole Maddox's glass like a tiny white flag laid down in the middle of a war. For one heartbeat, Harper Quinn thought he might do the smart thing. Smile. Leave the bourbon untouched. Walk back through the casino with his men around him and let the night swallow him whole. Instead, his fingers closed around her wrist. Not hard enough to bruise, not gentle enough to be mistaken for kindness. His hand was warm, steady, absolute. Harper's breath caught in her throat. The sounds of the Velvet Pier rushed back all at once, the low music, the soft clatter of chips from the casino floor, the laughter from a private booth near the windows, rain tapping against the glass that overlooked the Atlantic boardwalk. Everything looked normal if a person did not know how to look. Harper knew how to look. She saw Tyler Voss turn pale beside Cole's shoulder. She saw the way his mouth opened, then shut, like a man who had swallowed a secret too large to keep down. She saw Cole's men shift at the edges of the lounge, quiet shadows in dark suits, every one of them pretending not to move while moving into position. Cole looked only at her. "Why would I do that, sweetheart?" he asked. His voice was low enough that no one beyond the bar would hear. But Harper felt every word like it had been spoken against her skin. She tried to pull her wrist free. Cole did not let go. "Because I'm asking you to stay alive," she said. Something flickered in his eyes. Interest, maybe. Amusement, maybe. With a man like him, both could be dangerous. Tyler forced a laugh. "Mr. Maddox, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Harper gets nervous around important guests. She's always been dramatic." Harper looked at Tyler then. That was his mistake. A guilty man always talked too much when silence would serve him better. Cole noticed it too. His thumb rested lightly against the inside of Harper's wrist, right over her pulse. She hated that he could feel how fast her heart was beating. "Dramatic," Cole said without looking away from Harper. "Is that what this is?" Harper swallowed. Her throat felt dry, scraped raw by fear. "I saw what he did." Tyler's expression tightened. "What I did was improve your drink, that's all." "No," Harper said softly. "You waited until I poured it. You took the glass before I could serve it. You used a vial with no label. You watched the bourbon after you put the drop in, not Mr. Maddox. People who are giving gifts watch the person. People who are hiding poison watch the glass." The air around the bar changed. No one gasped. No one shouted. That would have been easier. Instead, the silence beneath the music deepened until it felt alive. Cole turned his head at last and looked at the bourbon. The glass sat under the warm bar-light amber and beautiful and deadly. Then he looked at Tyler. Tyler's smile collapsed. Tyler said the first name slipping out too fast. "You know me. I would never." Cole released Harper's wrist. She pulled her hand back at once, cradling it close to her body as if his touch had left a mark deeper than skin. "Then drink it," Cole said. Tyler went still. The words were not loud. They did not need to be. They landed with the clean weight of a blade. "I can't," Tyler said. "I'm working." Cole smiled. Not anymore. Behind Tyler, a broad man with a shaved head and a scar at the corner of his mouth stepped closer. Harper had seen him before, always a few feet behind Cole, always watching exits. Beckett Shaw, Cole's right hand if the whispers were true. Tyler backed up one step. Harper saw it before anyone else did. His right hand dipped toward his jacket pocket. "Gun," she whispered. Beckett moved. Cole moved faster. He caught Tyler's wrist and slammed his hand onto the bar. A small black pistol skidded from Tyler's jacket and clattered against the footrail. A woman at the nearest table laughed too loudly, pretending she had not heard. The bartender beside Harper Luis froze with a bottle of gin in his hand. Cole leaned in close to Tyler. Who sent you? Tyler's face shone with sweat. His eyes darted from Cole to the lounge doors, then to the west corridor near the restrooms. Harper followed the look. The corridor was empty now, but a few minutes earlier a thin man in a gray raincoat had stood there with his hat low over his face. She had noticed him because he wore gloves indoors, because he looked at no one, because people who did not want to be seen always made the mistake of trying too hard. I don't know what you're talking about, Tyler said. Cole's grip tightened. Tyler winced. Wrong answer. Tyler's courage broke. It happened fast. His shoulders folded inward. His mouth trembled. His eyes filled with a wet, shining panic that made Harper's stomach twist. I was told it wouldn't hurt, Tyler whispered. Cole's face emptied of all expression. Harper knew that look. She had seen versions of it on men who sat across from her father at the kitchen table when she was young. The moment kindness left the room, the moment whatever happened next became business. Who told you? Cole asked. Tyler shook his head. I can't. Cole brought his face closer. You tried to kill me in my own city in a room full of people who know better than to breathe wrong around me. You can. Tyler's eyes shifted again toward the west corridor. Then he jerked his knee into Cole's thigh and twisted free. He did not make it far. He shoved a cocktail waitress into Beckett's path and ran past the bar toward the service hall. Glass shattered. Someone shouted. The music continued for 2 more seconds before the house manager killed it, leaving the whole lounge exposed in a naked, terrible silence. Cole did not chase him. He looked at Beckett. Beckett vanished into the crowd. Harper stood behind the bar with both palms pressed to the polished wood, trying to steady herself. Cole picked up the poisoned glass. He held it beneath the light and studied it as if death might reveal itself if stared at long enough. Then he set it back down untouched. You have a name, he asked. Harper blinked. You grabbed my wrist before asking my name. You warned me before knowing whether I deserved it. That quieted her. She wanted to say she knew exactly what he deserved. Everyone in Atlantic City knew Cole Maddox. People said his family owned half the city and frightened the other half into paying rent on time. They said his father built an empire through blood and dock contracts. They said Cole had made it cleaner, quieter, more profitable. Cleaner did not mean clean. My name is Harper, she said. Harper what, Quinn? His eyes sharpened, just a little, just enough. She noticed. He noticed that she noticed. Quinn, he repeated. Her stomach dipped. There were names that could pass through a room unnoticed. Quinn was not always one of them. Not in the older circles, not near the docks, not around men who remembered her father. My last name doesn't matter, she said. Last names always matter, not to me. Cole's gaze swept over her face, slow and assessing. Harper had the sudden awful feeling that he was not only looking at her, he was sorting her into categories: witness, problem, asset, threat. She had spent years avoiding exactly that kind of attention. At the Velvet Pier, invisibility was survival. Harper was good at being overlooked. She knew how to fold herself into the scenery: black vest, white shirt, hair pinned back, smile when needed, disappear when not. She served rich men their drinks and let their secrets pass over her like smoke. The casino attracted people who wanted to be seen and people who wanted to hide. Harper could tell the difference by the way they touched money. Men with real power did not flash it. They left it lying around because they knew no one would dare take it. Cole Maddox was that kind of man. And now he was looking at her like she was no longer part of the furniture. That scared her more than Tyler's gun. Cole slipped the napkin into the inside pocket of his jacket. Harper watched him do it. Why are you keeping that? She asked. Evidence. It's a cocktail napkin. It saved my life. The words should have sounded grateful. They did not. They sounded like ownership. Beckett returned 3 minutes later, jaw tight. He got out through the loading hall, Beckett said. Car was waiting. Cole's expression did not change. Plate covered, driver masked. Cole nodded once. His calm was worse than anger. He turned back to Harper. Get your things. No. The word came out before she could soften it. Cole tilted his head. No, my shift is not over. That almost made him smile. Almost. You think this is about your shift? I think I have rent due Friday and a manager who docks pay if we leave early. Your manager just tried to poison me. He's not my manager, he's floor staff. Cole stared at her. The absurdity of the distinction hung between them. Then he said, Your shift ended when you put that napkin in front of me. Harper glanced around the bar. Luis looked away. The cocktail waitresses were suddenly busy. The guests had returned to pretending nothing had happened because wealthy people were experts at making horror someone else's problem. No, Harper said. I helped you. That doesn't mean I belong to you. Cole stepped closer. She hated that she stepped back. You saw Tyler. Tyler saw you. Whoever put him up to this knows I did not drink because someone interfered. If I walk out and leave you here, they will come for you before sunrise. I can call the police. Cole's eyes cooled. You work in a casino lounge where half the off-duty cops drink for free and the other half owe someone money. Call whoever you want. By the time a report is filed, you will already be missing. Harper wanted to argue. She wanted to believe he was exaggerating. But she had grown up around men who lowered their voices when patrol cars rolled by. She knew exactly how thin the wall was between law and power when enough money leaned against it. Cole softened his voice, though not by much. Get your things, Harper. The use of her name felt deliberate, a hook in soft skin. Harper untied her apron with stiff fingers. Luis finally looked at her. You okay? He whispered. No, she said. But don't say that out loud. She walked toward the staff hallway with Cole's eyes on her back. The corridor behind the lounge smelled like bleach, spilled beer, and old carpet. The glamour ended the second the public could not see it. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. A mop bucket sat forgotten outside the break room. Someone had taped a handwritten note to the time clock reminding staff that missing name tags would result in payroll deductions. The real world, petty and ugly and normal, made Harper's throat ache. She pushed into the locker room. Sadie Monroe was inside, changing out of black heels into sneakers. Her copper hair was piled on top of her head, and her eyeliner had smudged at the corners from a long night. When she saw Harper's face, she stopped. What happened? Harper opened her locker. The combination stuck on the second turn because her fingers were shaking. Sadie crossed the room. Harper, I need to leave. Leave how? With him. Harper said nothing. Sadie lowered her voice. People are saying Tyler pulled a gun. People should stop saying things. That man at the bar was Cole Maddox. I know who he is. Sadie stared at her. What did you do? Harper shoved her phone keys wallet and an old paperback into her bag. The book was bent at the spine, a collection of poems that had belonged to her father. She carried it everywhere without admitting why. I noticed something I should have ignored, Harper said. Sadie's face changed. The joking softness left it. Is this about your dad? Harper closed the locker too hard. The metal bang made them both flinch. Don't. Sadie stepped closer. You told me once he got killed because he trusted the wrong men. I said I didn't want to talk about it. And now you're walking out with the wrongest man in New Jersey. Harper laughed once, but there was no humor in it. I don't think I have a choice. Sadie grabbed her hand. Then make one. Come home with me. We'll leave through the employee lot. My cousin has a place in Delaware. We can be gone in an hour. For one sweet, stupid second, Harper imagined it. A highway, a cheap motel, Sadie smoking out the window and swearing at the GPS, coffee from a gas station, a life still small enough to run from. Then she remembered Tyler's eyes cutting toward the west corridor, the gray raincoat, the vial, the covered plate, the waiting car. No, Harper said quietly. If they're watching me, they'll watch you too. Sadie's grip tightened. I don't care. I do. The words landed between them heavy and final. Harper pulled free. If anyone asks, you don't know anything. I got sick. I went home. You didn't see Cole touch me. You didn't see Tyler run. You didn't hear a word. Sadie's eyes filled with tears she was too proud to let fall. You're scaring me. Good, Harper whispered. Stay scared. It keeps you alive. She left before Sadie could answer. Cole was waiting at the end of the service hall with Beckett and another man Harper did not know. The second man was younger, lean, sharp-faced with a watchful stillness that made him look more dangerous than anyone holding a visible weapon. Cole's gaze dropped to Harper's bag. That everything, it's all that matters. Something in his expression shifted at that, but it was gone before she could name it. They moved through the loading corridor. Harper passed crates of liquor, stacks of clean linens, and the back door where staff took smoke breaks during double shifts. The rain was louder here, drumming against the metal exit door. Cole pushed it open. Cold Atlantic air rushed in. The alley behind the velvet pier was narrow and wet, lit by a single security lamp that flickered over puddles stained with oil. The boardwalk's neon glow bled against the low clouds. Somewhere beyond the casino walls, tourists were still laughing, still drunk, still safe in the version of the city sold on postcards. A black Escalade idled near the curb. The rear door opened from inside. Harper stopped. Cole looked at her. "Get in. Tell me where we're going, somewhere secure." "That's not an answer. It is the only one I'm giving you in an alley." Harper looked at the mouth of the alley. Empty street. Rain. No cab. No police. No ordinary life waiting close enough to reach. She hated him for being the safest, terrible option. She climbed into the Escalade. The interior smelled like leather cedar and expensive cologne. Cole slid in beside her. Beckett took the front passenger seat. The younger man drove. The doors locked with a soft mechanical click. Harper felt it in her bones. Cole did not look at her as the car pulled away. He was already on his phone typing with fast controlled movements. Harper stared out the tinted window. The casino lights blurred in the rain. The velvet pier shrank behind them until it looked like any other bright lie on the boardwalk. "Who was Tyler working for?" she asked. Cole kept typing. "I don't know yet. But you have guesses. I have enemies. Guesses are for people with fewer of them." She turned from the window. "Was he one of yours?" Cole finally looked at her. "That depends what you mean by mine. Don't do that. Do what talk like every word has a trapdoor under it." The corner of his mouth moved. "Tyler worked in a building I own. That does not make him mine. Then someone bought him. Yes. Or scared him. Usually both." Harper wrapped her arms around herself. Her bartender uniform suddenly felt thin and ridiculous. White shirt, black vest, bow tie loose at her throat. The costume of service. The uniform of someone paid to stand close to danger and pretend it was hospitality. Cole watched her. "Cold, no. You're shaking. I said I'm not cold. Fear, then." She met his eyes. "I'd be stupid not to be afraid. Stupid people rarely admit it. Maybe that's why they're stupid." This time he did smile. Barely. It made him look younger and more dangerous. The driver glanced once in the rearview mirror, then looked away quickly. Cole leaned back. "Who taught you to read a room like that?" "No one. Lie." Harper looked out the window again. The city rolled past in wet streaks. Pawn shops, closed diners, luxury towers with half the windows dark. A homeless man hunched under the awning of a souvenir store. A police cruiser parked outside a nightclub while two officers laughed with a bouncer. Atlantic City never slept. It just changed masks. "My father," Harper said at last. Cole's silence told her to continue. She regretted opening the door, but it was already cracked. He moved cargo through the ports. Legal cargo, mostly. At least that's what he told me when I was young enough to believe people say mostly when they mean innocent. Cole's gaze stayed on her profile. "He taught me how to watch hands, how to tell when a man is pretending calm, how to know when a room is about to turn. Useful lessons for a child." "He said the world didn't care how old I was." Cole's voice lowered. "What happened to him?" Harper's fingers tightened around the strap of her bag. "He died." "How badly?" "That is not an answer. It is the only one I'm giving you in a car." Cole accepted that with a faint nod, and she hated that he recognized his own words thrown back at him. A few blocks later, he said, "People do not get killed badly for moving legal cargo." Harper stared straight ahead. "No, they don't." The Escalade left the brightest part of the boardwalk and turned toward the inlet, where old warehouses stood beside new glass towers and the ocean pressed black against the shoreline. Finally, they pulled into an underground garage beneath a hotel that looked unfinished from the outside but heavily guarded within. The garage door slid shut behind them. Harper heard the lock engage. Cole got out first. Beckett opened Harper's door. She stepped onto polished concrete. The garage was spotless, too clean, too quiet. A row of black vehicles sat beneath white lights. No music, no casino noise, no rain. Just the hum of ventilation and the distant throb of the sea somewhere beyond the walls. Cole led her to a private elevator. There was a keypad, then a card scanner, then a thumbprint panel. Harper watched each barrier open. "How many people are you hiding from?" she asked. Cole pressed his thumb to the glass. "Enough." The elevator rose without a sound. Harper stared at their reflection in the mirrored doors. She looked pale, damp, too small beside him. Cole looked exactly as he had in the lounge. Untouched, controlled, like violence could brush against him and leave no stain. The doors opened into a penthouse that did not feel like a home. It felt like power had hired an architect. Concrete floors, dark wood, low furniture, tall windows facing the ocean. The Atlantic stretched beyond the glass, black and restless under a moonless sky. The city glittered to the south, all neon and hunger. Harper stepped inside slowly. Everything was beautiful. None of it was warm. Cole removed his jacket and draped it over the back of a chair. "You'll stay here tonight?" Harper turned. "No." His eyebrows lifted. "You're very attached to that word. You're very attached to ignoring it." Beckett's mouth twitched near the elevator. He covered it quickly. Cole gave him one glance and Beckett became stone again. Harper faced Cole fully. "You can't just take me from my job, cut off my phone, bring me to some fortress and tell me I live here now." "I can. That doesn't make it right." "No," Cole said. "It makes it possible." The answer was so cold and honest that it stole her next breath. He crossed to a bar cart and poured water into a glass. Not liquor, water. He set it on the counter near her, then stepped back as if approaching too closely might spook a wounded animal. "You are a witness to an attempted murder," he said. "You are also the person who prevented it. Tyler escaped. Whoever hired him will ask why I am still breathing. Someone will tell them about the bartender who passed me a note. Maybe no one saw." Cole looked at her. She hated herself for saying it. Of course people saw. People always saw. They just lied later to survive. Cole continued. "If Tyler is caught by my people, he talks. If he is caught by theirs, he dies. Either way, your name is now in the room." Harper picked up the water but did not drink. "What if I walk out, Beckett stops you? What if I scream? No one who can help you will hear. What if I break that window and climb down the side of the building?" Cole glanced at the glass wall. "Then I'll be impressed for the 6 seconds before gravity ends the argument." She almost laughed. The sound got trapped in her throat. "This is insane. This is Atlantic City after midnight," he said. "Insane is the house minimum." Harper put the glass down untouched. "I have a life." Cole's eyes moved over her damp sleeves, her tired face, the bag clutched against her hip. "A life that fits in one bag." The words hit too close. Harper's face hardened. "You don't know anything about my life." "No," Cole said quietly. "But someone will by morning if I don't make it difficult." That quieted her. Her apartment flashed in her mind. 3rd-floor walk-up above a closed nail salon, a radiator that knocked all winter, a kitchen window that stuck in humidity, a door lock she had replaced herself with a cheap kit from a hardware store, Sadie asleep on her couch after late shifts, her father's book beside her bed, small, worn, hers, not safe anymore. Cole saw the truth settle over her. "There's a guest room down the hall," he said. "Bathroom. Clothes. Anything you need, ask Beckett. I need my phone to work. No. I need to call Sadie. No. She'll worry. She already received a text from you saying you went home sick." Harper went cold. "You sent a message from my phone." Cole's silence was answer enough. She crossed the room fast and slapped him. Beckett took one sharp step forward. Cole raised a hand, stopping him. The sound faded into the penthouse walls. Harper's palm burned. Cole's face had turned slightly with the blow. Slowly he looked back at her. His cheek reddened. His eyes did not. "Do not use my life like one of your chess pieces," Harper said. Cole stood very still. For the first time since the bar, something like anger moved beneath his calm. Then it passed. "I used one text to keep your friend from calling the police and putting herself in the same danger you're in. You don't get to decide that for me." "No," he said. "Tonight, I decide it despite you." Harper hated him then, not because he was wrong, because part of her knew he might be right. That was worse. She backed away. "Where's the room?" Cole pointed down the hall. "Second door on the right." She turned before he could say anything else. The guest room was larger than her apartment. King bed, cream walls, soft lamps, a bathroom of white marble and chrome, a closet with robes and folded clothes she refused to touch. She locked the door, a useless gesture, but she needed to hear the click. Harper set her bag on the bed and pulled out her phone. No service. She tried anyway. Sadie's name sat on the screen unreachable. Harper pressed the phone to her chest and closed her eyes. The room smelled like fresh linen and rain from her clothes. Underneath that, she could still smell Cole's cologne where he had stood too close in the elevator. Cedar, smoke, something clean and cold. She hated that she noticed. She went to the window. Below Atlantic City glowed like a promise no one intended to keep. The ocean moved in the darkness beyond it, endless and indifferent. Harper touched the inside of her wrist. She could still feel Cole's grip there. She could still see the bourbon glass under the bar light. She could still hear Tyler whispering that it would not hurt. A soft knock came at the door. Harper did not move. Miss Quinn Beckett said from the hall, "Boss said to tell you the door locks from your side only." She stared at the knob. "That's supposed to make me feel better." A pause. "No, ma'am, just true." His footsteps retreated. Harper sat on the edge of the bed, still in her bartender uniform, her shoes leaving faint wet marks on the expensive rug. For the first time all night, the shaking stopped. Not because she was calm, because fear had gone too deep for her body to carry on the surface. She opened her father's book and found the page where the spine naturally fell. A line had been underlined years ago in his dark pencil. "Tell all the truth, but tell it slant." Harper stared at the words until they blurred. Outside her door, Cole Maddox's world moved quietly around her. Phones vibrated. Men spoke in low voices. Elevators opened and closed. Somewhere in the city, Tyler Voss was either running for his life or already out of time. Harper lay back without changing clothes. She did not sleep. Near dawn, the rain stopped. The room turned gray. The ocean became visible through the glass, flat and cold beneath the morning sky. A knock came again. This time it was not Beckett. Cole's voice entered through the door, calm and low. "Harper." She sat up hard, already moving too fast. What a pause. Then he said the words that made the beautiful room feel smaller than any cage. They found Tyler. The words came through the door with no drama in them, and somehow that made them worse. Harper sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing yesterday's clothes. The collar of her white shirt wrinkled, her bow tie hanging loose around her neck like a ribbon after a funeral. For a second she did not move. The gray morning pressed against the windows. Beyond the glass, the Atlantic looked heavy and flat, the color of old steel. She had expected Tyler to run. She had expected Cole's people to catch him. She had not expected that sentence. She stood slowly and crossed the room. Her bare feet sank into a rug so soft it felt obscene. When she opened the door, Cole Maddox stood in the hall with his suit jacket gone and his shirt sleeves rolled to the forearms. He looked like a man who had not slept, but there was nothing tired in his eyes. "Found him where Harper asked?" "In his apartment." She stared at him. Cole's face gave her nothing. A live no. The hallway seemed to tilt. Harper reached for the doorframe without meaning to. She saw Tyler as he had been behind the bar, too eager, too bright, his hand shaking around that tiny vial. A coward, yes. A criminal, maybe, but alive. Sweating, breathing, terrified of someone. Now he was just a message, how she asked. "The police report is going to say suicide. You don't believe that." "I do not use belief where evidence is enough." Harper's fingers tightened against the painted wood, and the evidence says Cole looked past her into the room, then back at her face. "It says someone cleaned up a mistake." She swallowed. Her mouth tasted like metal. Tyler had tried to kill Cole, and within hours, Tyler was dead. That was the speed of this world. No court, no confession, no space for regret. A man could step wrong at midnight and be a body before breakfast. Harper stepped into the hall and closed the guest room door behind her. Cole noticed that she did not ask permission. That small fact seemed to interest him. "Where is my phone?" she asked. "Secured. That means stolen. That means not broadcasting your location to anyone who knows how to find it. My friend is going to panic. Your friend thinks you left town for a family emergency." Harper's eyes flashed. "You sent another message. I had one sent before your absence became a question." She stepped closer before she could stop herself. "You do not get to rewrite my life because it is convenient for you." Cole's jaw tightened. "No. I rewrite it because someone tried to kill me, and the only person who saw the shape of the attempt is standing barefoot in my hallway. Do you hear yourself? Yes. And that does not bother you. It bothers me less than scraping you off the floor of your apartment. The words landed hard. Harper looked away first. She hated that he knew where to put the truth, so it hurt. Cole turned and walked toward the main room. Come eat. I'm not hungry. You still need coffee. That was the first human thing he had said all morning, and it annoyed her that he was right. She followed him into the open living area. In daylight, the penthouse looked colder. The beauty had edges now. Tall windows, pale concrete, dark leather, nothing out of place. It had the stillness of a room where no one ever laughed unless invited. At the dining table, a tray had been set out with coffee, fruit, eggs, toast, and small pastries dusted with sugar. It was more food than Harper ate in 2 days of double shifts. Beckett Shaw stood near the elevator with his arms folded. He gave her a polite nod as if they were all sharing a normal morning and she was not being held inside a luxury prison by a crime boss. Harper sat across from Cole because standing made her feel too breakable. Cole poured coffee into a white cup and slid it toward her. She stared at it. You think I'm going to poison you? He asked. After last night, I think everyone should watch their drinks. Again that almost smile. Fair. He took the cup back, drank from it, then placed it in front of her. Harper hated the tiny thread of relief that moved through her. She drank anyway. The coffee was black, strong, and bitter enough to pull her fully into the room. Cole opened a folder on the table. Inside were photographs. He turned one around. Tyler Voss lay on a bedroom floor beside an overturned chair. His face was turned away from the camera. One hand was open, palm up. Fingers curled slightly like he had reached for something in the final second and found nothing. Harper pushed the photo back. I did not ask to see that, no, Cole said. But you needed to understand what kind of people are looking for the end of this story. She looked at him sharply. This is not a story. To them it is. A clean one. A nervous employee takes his life after making a mistake. No poison, no buyer, no trail. Harper stared at the folder. Was there a note? Number phone gone. Computer destroyed. Security cameras disabled around his building for 6 minutes. Harper let out a slow breath. 6 minutes is not panic. 6 minutes is planning. Cole's gaze sharpened. Exactly. She heard the approval in his voice and did not like how it steadied her. What about the vial, she asked. Gone from the club. Tyler had help inside. Yes. Maybe more than one person. Cole leaned back in his chair. Now you are thinking properly. I was thinking properly before you kidnapped me. You were thinking emotionally. I saved your life. You saved my life and then wanted to go back to polishing glasses as if no one had watched you do it. Harper opened her mouth, then closed it. Cole was cruel, but he was not wrong. That was becoming a problem. The elevator chimed before either of them could speak again. Beckett straightened. Cole did not reach for a weapon, but the room shifted around him anyway. Harper saw at this time the invisible signal that passed through the air. Beckett's hand moved near his jacket. Cole's shoulders settled. The penthouse went from room to battlefield in less than a breath. The elevator opened. A woman stepped out in a charcoal suit carrying a leather case. She was in her 50s, maybe older, with silver hair cut cleanly at her jaw and eyes that looked as if they had never once been surprised by a man. Cole, she said. Evelyn. The woman's gaze moved to Harper. Not rude, not kind, assessing. You must be Harper Quinn. Harper stood. That depends who is asking. One corner of Evelyn's mouth lifted. Good. Fear has not made you stupid. I'm collecting compliments from criminals now, only the competent ones. Cole gestured toward the table. Evelyn Hart handles sensitive transitions. Harper looked at him. That is a pretty phrase for ugly work. Evelyn set the case on the table and opened it. Inside were a phone, a laptop, a wallet, a small stack of documents, and a driver's license with Harper's photograph on it. Harper picked up the license. The name read, Harper Lane. Her stomach dropped. No. Evelyn's voice remained even. It is temporary. That is not my name. Today it is. Harper looked from Evelyn to Cole. You made me a fake person. I made you harder to find, Cole said. Evelyn placed the secure phone on the table. This device connects through a private network. Calls are limited. Messages are monitored. Harper laughed once, sharp and humorless. You all keep using protection like it is a nicer word for control. Evelyn did not blink. In many cases, Miss Quinn, it is both. Harper wanted to hate her. It would have been easier if Evelyn had been cruel, But the woman only looked practical, and practicality was harder to fight. Evelyn continued. Your rent is paid for the next 6 months. Your landlord has been told you accepted a private hospitality contract in Miami. Your friend Sadie received a message saying you needed distance after a family emergency and would contact her when settled. Your employer has processed your resignation. Harper heard the words one by one, each of them removing a brick from the life she had built. Her apartment, her job, her friend, her name. All folded up while she drank coffee from a cup too delicate for her hands. You had no right, she said. Cole's voice was low. I know. That stopped her more than any excuse would have. He was not apologizing, not exactly, but he was not pretending either. Evelyn closed the leather case. The old phone stays with me. Your bank accounts have been moved behind additional safeguards. There is cash in the wallet. Not enough to make you foolish. Enough to move if required. Harper looked at the license again. Harper Lane, a stranger with her face. Who took this photo? Evelyn looked at Cole, then back at Harper. Casino employee files are not difficult to access. Harper's skin crawled. You people are terrifying. Evelyn snapped the case shut. Yes, that is why you are alive. She left as quickly as she came, her heels making a crisp sound against the concrete until the elevator swallowed her. Harper remained standing. The fake license lay on the table between her and Cole. I had a life, she said. Cole's expression shifted almost imperceptibly. You had a life people could reach. And now what do I have? His eyes held hers. A chance. Harper wanted to throw the coffee cup at him. Instead, she picked up the new phone. It felt heavier than it should have. For several hours, the penthouse became a waiting room for bad news. Cole disappeared into calls. Beckett stayed near the elevator. Men came and went with quiet voices and locked faces. Harper sat by the window and watched Atlantic City wake beneath her. Delivery trucks rolled through wet streets. Casino workers ended their night shifts. Tourists stumbled toward breakfast buffets. Far below, life went on in ordinary motions, cruelly unaware that Harper Quinn had vanished from it. By afternoon, restlessness drove her through the penthouse. She found a kitchen that looked untouched by hunger, a hallway lined with dark-framed photographs of ships and old buildings, a locked door Beckett gently told her not to test, and finally a library. The room changed the temperature of the whole place. Warm lamps, deep chairs, shelves from floor to ceiling filled with real books. Some had worn spines, some were marked with slips of paper. One chair near the window had a folded blanket over the arm, as if someone actually sat there when no one was watching. Harper stepped inside quietly. She had expected guns, ledgers, maybe a safe hidden behind artwork. She had not expected poetry. On a small table lay a book with a faded blue cover. She touched it with 2 fingers, then opened it where a thin strip of paper marked the page. A line had been underlined in pencil. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Her breath caught. Her father had underlined the same line in the book she carried in her bag. For a second, the room around her blurred. She was 12 again, sitting cross-legged on the kitchen floor, while her father made coffee at midnight and taught her that truth was a dangerous animal. Never grab it by the throat, he had said. Let it come sideways. That was my mother's. Harper turned. Cole stood in the doorway. He had removed his cufflinks. His sleeves were still rolled. In the softer light of the library, he looked less like a man carved out of authority and more like someone who had once been young and had buried the evidence. She liked poetry, Harper asked. She liked lost causes. Same thing to her, probably. Harper looked down at the page. My father liked this line. Cole's eyes moved to the book, then to her face. Thomas Quinn. Harper went still. The sound of her father's name in his mouth changed the room. What did you say? Cole stepped inside slowly. Your father was Thomas Quinn. It was not a question. Harper closed the book. How do you know that? Your last name, your age, the port connection. I had Evelyn confirm it. Anger rose so quickly she almost welcomed it. You investigated my dead father before breakfast. I investigated the woman who saved my life and may have been sent to do it. She stared at him. You thought I was part of this? I think everything until it proves otherwise. That must be a lonely way to live. Cole looked around the library. Yes, The honesty stole some of the force from her anger, but not enough. My father was not one of your people. No, Cole said. He was adjacent to men like mine. That is sometimes more dangerous. Harper's throat tightened. He tried to get out. Men who move cargo rarely get to simply stop. He tried. Cole did not argue. That restraint hurt more than dismissal. Harper turned away, staring at the shelves so she would not have to look at him. He told me not to get involved, she said. The last week of his life, he said it every morning. Keep your head down. Do not correct powerful men. Do not stand between a bullet and its target. But last night you did. Her laugh was small and bitter. Apparently I'm bad at honoring final wishes. Cole's voice softened by a degree, or good at surviving what he could not. Harper faced him. My father died because he trusted someone with power. Cole held her gaze. Then you should not trust me. I don't. Good. The word settled between them strangely, not as insult, as permission. Cole's phone vibrated. He checked it and the man returned. The armor slid back into place. Come with me. Harper did not move. Is that an invitation or an order? Cole looked at her. An invitation with limited patience. She followed him because curiosity was stronger than pride and because the underlined poem had shaken something loose inside her. He led her into a room she had not seen before, a study with no windows, paneled in dark wood, lit by one green glass lamp on a heavy desk. Screens lined the far wall. Security footage from the Velvet Pier filled them, grainy and silent. Harper's old life appeared in black and white. There she was behind the bar, small and tense, polishing a glass she remembered had already been clean. There was Tyler near the host stand checking his phone. There was Cole entering the lounge, and even on silent footage the room seemed to react. Cole stood beside her. We reconstruct everything. I told you what I saw. You told me what fear let you keep. Harper folded her arms. And this is where pressure makes memory better sometimes. And sometimes it breaks people. Cole looked at her then. I am not going to break you. The words were quiet. Harper wanted to believe them less than she did. She stepped closer to the screens. Cole played the footage from 2 hours before the poisoning. At first it was ordinary. Staff moving, guests drinking, Tyler crossing in and out of frame. Then Harper saw it. Stop. Cole paused the video. Tyler stood near the staff corridor, phone pressed to his ear. He came in through the back, Harper said. Is that unusual for Tyler? Yes. He liked being seen. He always used the front entrance when guests were around. Cole rewound the footage. They watched Tyler enter again. His hair was wet. His collar was turned wrong. He looked over his shoulder before stepping inside. He was scared already, Harper said. Cole nodded. What else? She closed her eyes, pulling the night back piece by piece. He was on the phone near the office. I heard part of it when I walked past with a crate of limes. What did he say? Harper pressed her fingers to her temple. Rain. Music. Tyler's voice low and sharp, a phrase that had meant nothing then because she had been thinking about garnished trays and unpaid bills. He said the package is in place. Cole went still. Harper opened her eyes. And then he said, Maddox takes the bait tonight. Cole did not move for a long moment. The study seemed to grow colder. Why did you not mention that? Because until this second I did not remember it. He accepted that with a tense nod. Continue. Cole advanced the footage. Harper watched Tyler circle the lounge. He laughed too brightly with guests, snapped at a busboy, checked the door again and again. Then the gray raincoat appeared. There, Harper said. Cole froze the frame. A thin man stood near the west corridor. His hat was low. His shoulders were narrow. He did not face the camera. He gave Tyler something Harper said. Cole zoomed in. The image blurred, then sharpened as much as the system allowed. The man's hand emerged from the coat. An envelope passed between them. Harper leaned closer. His right hand. Cole enlarged the frame. The picture pixelated. Still a flash of silver showed on the smallest finger. A ring, she said. Cole's voice was almost flat. Describe it. Silver. Black stone. Something carved into it. What? Harper shut her eyes again. The bar lights, the raincoat, the hand, the tiny black surface catching a slice of gold. Not an eagle. Not a hawk. A raven, she said. It looked like a raven. Cole's face changed. It was subtle, a hardening around the mouth, a stillness that felt less like control and more like recognition. Elliot Graves. The name sounded old in the room. Harper looked at him. Who is that? Cole stared at the frozen image. A man who sells doors. What does that mean? It means if you want to reach someone untouchable, Graves finds the hallway. If you want a guard, paid a camera blind, a brother, angry a friend, desperate, Graves introduces the need to the price. Harper looked back at the screen. He is a hitman, no? Hitmen get blood on their shoes. Graves prefers clean floors. The man in the gray raincoat remained frozen on the screen, faceless and thin, barely there. Harper felt a chill move along her arms. Tyler was just a delivery boy, yes. And whoever hired Graves has money, yes. Access, yes, and someone inside your circle. Cole looked at her then, and for the first time there was no condescension in his gaze. Only focus. Now you understand why you are here. Harper wanted to say she understood nothing, that she wanted her apartment, her friend, her old phone, her bad tips, her normal fear, but the frozen image held her. The raven ring, the envelope, Tyler's frightened face, her father's poem, truth coming slant. Cole saved the frame and sent it from his phone. To who, Harper asked. Miles Carter. He handles security. You trust him. I trust him to want the same enemies dead. That is not the same thing. Cole's eyes met hers. No, it is often better. The study door opened. Beckett stood there. Boss? Cole did not look away from the screen. What your people found Harper's apartment. Harper turned sharply. Cole's expression darkened. Say it. Beckett looked at Harper, then back at Cole. It was searched. Professional job. Lock-picked. Drawers opened. Mattress turned. No obvious theft. Harper's body went cold. She saw her small bedroom in her mind. The chipped dresser. The coffee mug on the nightstand. Her father's old jacket hanging in the closet. The shoebox beneath the bed where she kept his port badges, 2 photographs, and the police report she had never been able to throw away. What did they take? She asked. Beckett hesitated. Cole's voice cut in. Answer her. Nothing we can confirm yet. Harper stepped toward him. My bedroom. There is a shoebox under the bed. Was it still there? Beckett's silence told her everything. Her breath left her. Cole watched her carefully. What was in it? My father, she said. The answer came out raw. No one spoke. Then Cole said very quietly, Graves is not only looking at last night. Harper turned back to the screen where the man in the gray raincoat waited in frozen silence. Her fear changed shape. It was no longer only about Cole Maddox or Tyler's poison or the penthouse cage around her. Someone had gone into her home and taken the last pieces of Thomas Quinn. Someone had reached backward into her life. Harper touched the pocket where the fake license sat. Harper Lane, Harper Quinn, Thomas Quinn's daughter. All her names suddenly felt dangerous. Cole moved beside her, not touching, but close enough that she felt the heat of him. You are staying here, he said. This time she did not argue. On the screen, Cole pulled up a new file. Bank records, vendor lists, security contracts, names and numbers arranged in neat rows pretending to be harmless. Harper looked at the language before she looked at the money. One phrase repeated across 3 invoices. Strategic protective observation. The words were wrong. Not impossible, not broken. Just wrong enough to feel copied by someone who knew the shape of English but not its breadth. Harper leaned closer. Wait, she said. Cole paused with his hand over the keyboard. She pointed at the screen. That phrase. Who wrote these invoices? Cole's eyes moved to the line, then to her face. In the quiet study with Tyler dead, her apartment violated, and a raven ring glowing inside a frozen frame, Harper understood that seeing things had become the most dangerous thing she owned. That phrase, Harper said, her finger hovering near the screen. Who wrote these invoices? Cole did not answer at once. The study was so quiet, Harper could hear the electric hum inside the wall monitors. Outside the closed door, the penthouse moved in low murmurs. Men speaking into phones, elevator cables shifting somewhere behind concrete, the ocean pressing against the city below. Cole leaned closer to the screen. Strategic protective observation. The words sat inside the invoice description like a cheap pearl sewn onto an expensive dress. At first glance, it looked polished. Official. Empty in the way corporate language was often empty. But Harper had spent years translating contracts for port companies that wanted their lies dressed in clean grammar. She knew when language had been borrowed instead of lived in. "This isn't natural," she said. Cole looked at her. "Explain." Harper glanced over the other entries. Her eyes moved quickly now, catching patterns faster than fear could interrupt. "The grammar is technically acceptable, but the rhythm is wrong. A native speaker trying to hide theft writes something boring and simple. Security consulting, risk review, site assessment. This is too dressed up." She touched the screen again. "Strategic protective observation. Continued operational safeguarding. Advisory review of perimeter readiness." These are phrases made by someone who thinks important English means more words. Beckett, still standing near the door, frowned at the monitor. "Could be a bad consultant." "No," Harper said. "Bad consultants are vague. This is imitation. Whoever wrote this copied the tone of real invoices but did not understand how the language breathes." Cole's gaze sharpened in a way that made the room seem smaller. "How many?" Harper leaned over the desk. Cole stepped aside and let her use the keyboard. That surprised her. Not the keyboard, the space. Men like Cole rarely moved aside for anyone. She scrolled through the vendor list. There were dozens of legitimate accounts: maintenance firms, maritime security, food supply, private construction crews, legal retainers, charities with names too polished to be purely charitable. Then there it was, Carter Risk Solutions, a fake name pretending to be plain. Payments every month. Small amounts, $4,000, $7,000, $3,200. Enough to matter, not enough to scream. Harper clicked through the descriptions. The same unnatural language appeared again and again. "Here," she said. "And here. This one, too." Cole took out his phone and called someone. "Miles, get upstairs." He ended the call before the person on the other end could answer. Harper turned to him. "You already knew something was wrong. I knew money was leaking. I did not know where the pipe was cracked. And now I know the person who opened the pipe had access to my internal vendor system." Beckett's face hardened. "That means high clearance." Cole nodded. Harper watched both men. A strange chill moved through her, not fear exactly, but recognition. She had seen this before in smaller rooms with smaller criminals around her father's kitchen table. Betrayal had a smell. Stale coffee, sweat under clean shirts, silence held too long. The elevator chimed. A man stepped into the penthouse with a tablet under one arm and his coat still damp from rain. He was tall, black, maybe late 30s, with close-cut hair and eyes that missed nothing. His suit looked expensive but worn for movement, not display. "Miles Carter Cole," said. Miles looked at Harper only once. Not dismissive, not friendly, measuring. "You found something?" he asked. Harper almost said Cole found it. Habit. Survival. Make the powerful man the center of the discovery. Instead, she said, "I did." Cole's eyes moved to her face. Miles came around the desk. Harper showed him the vendor entries and the invoice descriptions. Miles read in silence. His jaw tightened. "We flagged Carter Risk Solutions 2 weeks ago," he said. "Could not prove it was fake. The paperwork checked out." "The paperwork checks out because whoever created it knew what your accountants expect to see," Harper said, "but not what natural business English sounds like." Miles glanced at Cole. She noticed this from phrasing. She notices things Cole said. The words were simple, yet they warmed something in Harper she did not want warmed. Miles pulled up another screen on his tablet. Vendor was added 6 months ago. Authorization came through Daniel Price's credentials. The name changed the air. Beckett looked at Cole. Cole did not move. Harper noticed that first. The stillness. Men like Cole went quiet when anger got close enough to become dangerous, Daniel Beckett said. Miles nodded once. His login, his approval chain, his digital signature. Cole stared at the screen. Harper heard what no one said. Daniel Price was not a random name. He mattered. "Who is Daniel?" she asked. No one answered quickly. That was answer enough. Cole finally spoke. "He handles my legitimate investments. Hotels, port leases, construction partnerships, clean money." Harper looked at him. "You have clean money, a great deal of it." That sounded almost offended. It was. Miles ignored them both. "Daniel has been with you 15 years. If he wanted to steal, he had better chances than this." These payments are small. Small payments are often fear, Harper said. Miles looked at her. Cole did too. She continued, though she wished she could stop. Greed gets loud over time. Fear stays careful. Whoever did this needed money but did not want anyone to notice. Or someone needed a trail that looked like theft. Miles tapped the screen. Daniel's daughter has been sick. Private treatment, not covered by insurance. He has been liquidating assets quietly. Cole's expression did not change, but something behind his eyes closed. Beckett muttered a curse under his breath. Harper looked from one man to the other. Cole. His name left her mouth before she could dress it with distance. He looked at her. If Daniel is desperate, she said someone could have used that. Miles nodded slowly. Victor Lang has access to personnel financial summaries. Not full accounts, but enough to know pressure points. Cole's voice dropped. Victor. There was history in the name. Not friendship, not quite family. Something colder than both. Who is Victor Lang? Harper asked. My Lieutenant, Cole said. Ambitious, useful, impatient, dangerous. All useful men are dangerous. Miles turned the tablet. Victor has been pushing for more control over the docks. He said the new political climate requires a harder hand. Harper thought of Tyler whispering that it would not hurt. The poisoned bourbon, the gray raincoat, her apartment torn open. A harder hand means you are not hard enough, she said. Cole's eyes met hers. That is Victor's opinion, and the person who hired Graves probably shares it. The silence that followed told her she had stepped directly into the center of the room. Cole looked at Miles. Bring Daniel here. Miles nodded. Quietly, tell him I need the Atlantic Hotel projections reviewed. Miles left without another word. Beckett stayed. Harper turned to Cole. You are going to question him here. Yes, and me, you will listen. No. Cole looked at her. She felt the weight of his attention, felt the old instinct telling her to lower her eyes, soften. Her voice survived the powerful man's mood. She did not. I am not one of your men, she said. You do not put me in a corner and use me like equipment. Cole stepped closer. You heard Tyler, you saw Graves, you read the invoices. If Daniel lies, I need to know if you hear it. Then ask me. I am. No, you are ordering me with prettier grammar. For 1 second, Beckett looked down at his shoes. Cole did not smile, but the anger in his face changed. It did not leave. It sharpened into something almost like respect. Harper, he said quieter. I am asking you to listen because Daniel trusts me, and if he is guilty, that trust is already dead. I am asking because you see what men like me miss when the betrayal wears a familiar face. That was harder to refuse. She hated him a little for knowing how to make use sound like meaning. All right, she said, but I sit where I choose. Cole held her gaze. Fine. An hour later, Harper sat in the library with the study door open just enough to hear the living room. She had chosen the place herself. Close enough to listen. Hidden enough not to change Daniel's behavior. Her hands were folded in her lap. Her father's book rested beside her on the chair, though she had not opened it. The blue volume from Cole's mother sat on the table nearby, the underlined truth waiting inside like a private accusation. The elevator opened. A man's voice entered first, warm and tired. Cole, I came as soon as Miles called. What happened? You sounded serious. Daniel Price stepped into view. He looked nothing like a traitor. That was the first thing Harper hated. He wore a brown overcoat and carried a leather folder under one arm. His hair was thinning at the crown. His tie was slightly crooked. His face had the worn gentleness of a man who had spent years being dependable and had not slept enough in any of them. Cole stood near the window with his back to the ocean. Sit down, Daniel. Daniel gave a small laugh. That tone usually means I am about to lose money. Sit. The laugh died. Daniel sat. Harper watched through the narrow opening. She could see Daniel's hands. That mattered more than his face. Cole took the chair opposite him. No desk between them, no visible threat. Just two men in a room too expensive for honesty. I need your help with a vendor, Cole said. Daniel blinked once. Of course. Carter Risk Solutions. The change was small. Almost nothing. Daniel's right hand moved toward his wedding ring, touched it, then retreated. His shoulders lifted half an inch. His eyes did not widen, but they stopped resting naturally on Cole's face. Harper leaned forward. Daniel said I would need to see the file. You authorized it. I authorize hundreds of things, not with your private credentials. Daniel smiled weakly. Then I should call IT. Could be a system error. Cole said nothing. Silence filled the space until Daniel shifted in his seat. Harper heard his breathing change. Cole placed a printed invoice on the table. The language is odd. Daniel picked it up too fast. What do you mean, strategic protective observation? Cole said. Continued operational safeguarding. Daniel gave another weak smile. Consultants love ugly language. Cole leaned back. So does your nephew. The room seemed to stop. Daniel's hand tightened around the page. Nicky, he said. Cole only watched him. Daniel shook his head. Nicky works in the mailroom. He barely understands half of what comes across his desk. He is a kid. Harper closed her eyes. There it was, the answer too quick, the defense before accusation, the name picked up and shielded with both hands. Cole's voice remained calm. I did not say Nicky was involved. Daniel's face drained. The paper trembled once in his hand. For several seconds no one spoke. Then Daniel put the invoice down. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Cole's voice changed. It became softer, which made it worse. How much Daniel closed his eyes. Harper felt the confession before it arrived. It started small, Daniel whispered. Cole said nothing. Daniel swallowed. Mia's treatment, the trial in Boston, insurance denied the second round. I tried loans, I tried selling the house. I thought I could borrow from the system and put it back before anyone noticed. Cole's eyes were fixed on him. Using Nicky. He did not know what it was, I swear. He copied invoice language for me. I told him it was overflow paperwork. You used your sister's son. Daniel flinched. I was desperate. Cole leaned forward, elbows on knees. Desperate men steal. They do not hand over my schedule to assassins. Daniel looked up sharply. His face changed again, and this time the guilt was too large to hide. Harper's stomach twisted. Cole saw it too. There it is, Cole said. Daniel's voice broke. Cole. Who? Daniel shook his head. Who? Daniel Victor. The name struck the room like a glass dropped on stone. Daniel pressed both hands over his face. Victor found the payments. He said he could bury them. He said no one needed to know. At first he only wanted numbers. Nothing violent. Shipment times, meeting locations, security rotations. He said it was politics, internal positioning. Cole's face was terrible in its stillness. And last night Daniel was crying now, quietly, shamefully. He asked for your schedule. Just your schedule. He said he needed to know when you were exposed, when Beckett's rotation changed, when you were not surrounded by the full team. I did not know about Tyler. I did not know about poison. Cole stood. Daniel shrank back, but Cole did not touch him. You gave him the door, Cole said. You did not ask what he planned to bring through it. Daniel sobbed once. My daughter was dying. Cole's jaw tightened. And you thought that gave you the right to risk every person under my protection? No. But you did it. Yes. Harper sat very still behind the cracked door. Her throat hurt. She had expected betrayal to look uglier, greedier. She had expected a villain. Instead, she heard a father drowning and grabbing the first hand offered, even though it belonged to a snake. Cole turned toward the window. For a moment, all Harper could see was his reflection in the glass. Dark suit, hard shoulders, a man holding violence on a leash. Does Mia know? He asked. Daniel shook his head hard. No, never. She thinks the money came from selling investments. Cole looked back at him. You will write down everything Victor asked for. Every date, every file, every code, every name. If you lie once, I will know. Daniel nodded, broken. You will be taken somewhere secure. Daniel looked up, hope and terror mixing on his face. Cole, your daughter keeps her doctors. Your nephew keeps breathing if he was as ignorant as you claim. You keep breathing as long as your information proves useful. Daniel covered his mouth with both hands. It was not forgiveness. It was not mercy as ordinary people understood it. But Daniel was alive. In Cole Maddox's world, that was a kind of miracle. Miles entered with 2 men. He did not look surprised. Perhaps no one in Cole's world had the luxury. They escorted Daniel toward the elevator. As he passed the library, his eyes caught the narrow opening of the door. For 1 second he saw Harper, his face filled with humiliation. Harper looked away. The elevator closed. The penthouse became quiet again. Harper stepped out of the library. Cole remained by the window staring at the city below. His hands were in his pockets. From the back he looked less like a king than a man standing at the edge of something he had built and no longer trusted. "You let him live," Harper said. Cole did not turn. "I need what he knows. That is not the only reason." Silence. Harper moved closer, stopping several feet behind him. "He betrayed you," she said. "Yes, you loved him." Cole's shoulders moved almost imperceptibly. "He held my mother's hand the night she died. He helped me bury my father. He remembered my birthday when I forgot it myself." The words were quiet, stripped of performance. Harper felt them more than she wanted to. Cole turned then. His eyes were colder than his voice had been. "Do not mistake memory for softness. I'm not." "You are." "No," Harper said. "I'm saying a truly weak man would have killed him to feel powerful again." Cole's gaze sharpened. "Careful." She stepped closer. "A truly cruel man would have made an example of him. You did neither. I threatened his family. You protected his daughter. I used her as leverage. You also kept her treatment paid." Cole stared at her. Rain slid down the window behind him in silver lines. The room smelled faintly of coffee paper and the ocean. "You see shades where there are none," he said. Harper shook her head. "No, you pretend there are none because it makes your world easier to survive." His expression changed just enough to warn her she had touched something close to bone. "My world is not easy." "I know." "No," he said, "you don't." The words were not cruel. They were tired. Harper looked at him and saw for one dangerous second the man beneath the name. Not Cole Maddox, owner of casinos, mover of money, wolf of Atlantic City. Just Cole, who had learned early that trust was a room with too many windows. "You are right," she said. "I do not know all of it." His anger eased by a fraction. "But I know what it feels like when a father's choices leave a child holding the debt." Cole's eyes held hers. Neither of them moved. The space between them filled with things unsaid. Her father, his mother, Daniel's daughter, Tyler's body, Victor's name hanging over them like smoke. Then Cole's phone rang. He answered without looking away from Harper. "Yes." A voice spoke on the other end. Harper could not hear the words, but she saw their effect. Cole's face hardened completely. When he asked, a pause. "Lock down the docks. Quietly. No police. No calls outside our line." He ended the call. Harper felt the room tilt toward violence again. "What happened?" Cole slipped the phone into his pocket. "Victor is gone." Harper's breath caught. "Gone where?" "He emptied a private account, pulled 2 men from his crew, and disappeared 30 minutes before Daniel arrived. That means someone warned him." Cole's eyes moved toward the elevator, then the study, then the city beyond the glass. Or he knew Daniel would break. Harper looked at the monitors still glowing inside the study. The fake invoices, the Raven ring, Tyler's body, her apartment. The pattern was no longer scattered. It was tightening. "Victor did not plan this alone," she said. "No, and Graves is not the top." Cole looked at her. "You are certain Harper thought of the invoices written by imitation, Tyler used as bait, Daniel pressured through his child, her father's things taken from beneath her bed. This is layered," she said. "Every person thinks they are protecting themselves from one threat, but someone above them is moving the fear around." Cole was silent. Then he said, "My father used to say fear is the only currency that never loses value." Harper met his eyes. "My father said men who trade in fear always end up owing more than they can pay." For a moment, something almost like grief passed between them. Then Cole stepped toward her. He did not touch her. That restraint felt louder than contact. "You should rest," he said. "I'm not tired. You have not slept. Neither have you. I am used to it. That is not the same as being fine." His gaze dropped to her mouth for a breath, then returned to her eyes. The shift was small, almost nothing. Harper felt it anyway. So did he. Cole stepped back first. "Beckett will bring you dinner. I don't need a guard dog." "No," Cole said. "You need a locked door, a loaded gun, and fewer instincts that put you in front of dangerous men." Harper lifted her chin. "Maybe dangerous men should stop standing where I need to look." This time, Cole did smile. It was brief, real, gone almost before it arrived. "You have a dangerous mouth, Harper Quinn." She should have looked away. She did not. "You keep asking for the truth." The smile faded, but the warmth it left behind did not vanish completely. Cole turned toward the study, already becoming the man who issued orders and hunted traitors. Harper stayed by the window, watching the rain blur Atlantic City into streaks of white and gold. Somewhere out there, Victor Lang was running with Cole's secrets in his pocket. Elliot Graves was arranging doors for men who preferred never to touch their own crimes. Someone had taken the last pieces of Thomas Quinn from a shoebox under a cheap bed and dragged Harper's past into Cole's war. She pressed her palm against the cold glass. For the first time since Cole took her from the Velvet Pier, the penthouse did not feel only like a cage. It felt like a battlefield, and Harper, against every warning her father had ever given her, was still standing in the center of it. By nightfall, the penthouse smelled of rain coffee and gun oil. Men came and went through the private elevator with quiet urgency, carrying black cases and speaking in voices low enough to make Harper feel as if the walls themselves had been trained to keep secrets. Cole stood in the study with Miles Carter, his shirt sleeves rolled again, a map of the docks glowing on one screen, and Victor Lang's last known movements on another. Victor had vanished cleanly. No dramatic escape. No desperate call. No body in an alley. He had stepped out of Cole's world with money, 2 loyal men, and enough stolen information to make every unlocked door feel like an invitation. Harper watched from the library doorway with her arms folded, feeling the weight of the day settle inside her bones. Tyler dead. Her apartment searched. Her father's shoebox gone. Daniel broken by fear and love. Victor running. Graves somewhere out there arranging people like knives on a table. Cole looked up and saw her. The room went still in that subtle way it always did when his attention changed direction. "You should eat," he said. Harper almost laughed. "That is your solution to betrayal." "No," Cole said. "It is my solution to you standing there looking like a strong wind could take you down." Miles glanced between them, then looked back at the screen with the intense concentration of a man pretending he had heard nothing. "I'm fine," Harper said. Cole's eyes moved over her face. "No, you're not." That irritated her because it was true. "I'm not one of your men. You do not need to manage my blood sugar. I don't manage blood sugar, I manage risk. And I'm risk you are many things." His voice had changed on the last word. Not much, just enough for the air around it to warm. Harper looked away first. That annoyed her too. Cole turned to Miles. "Lock down the south docks quietly. If Victor reaches out to anyone inside, I want to know before they answer." Miles nodded, and Graves Cole's face hardened. "He likes performance. He will not disappear without making sure we understand how clever he is." Harper stepped into the room. "Then stop looking where he wants you to look." Both men turned to her. She pointed at the map. "You are chasing Victor's exits. Bank withdrawals, vehicles, known associates. That is what he wants. Victor is loud enough to make noise. Graves is quiet enough to use it." Cole studied her. "What would you look at places with an audience?" Miles frowned. "Audience Graves does not just arrange murder. He stages it. The gray raincoat at the casino, the ring, the timing. Tyler's panic. He wanted someone to see pieces but not the whole thing. He likes rooms where everyone is looking at the wrong show." Cole was silent for a beat. Then Miles said, "There is a private screening tonight at the Rialto Theater. Restoration fundraiser. Old money crowd. Politicians, developers, port people." Harper felt something tighten in her stomach. The Rialto on Pacific Miles looked at her. "Yes, I know that building." Cole's gaze sharpened. "How I translated renovation documents for the Historical Society 2 years ago. The theater had original service corridors behind the walls. The city wanted them sealed. The Preservation Board fought it because they were part of the original structure." Miles was already pulling up building plans on his tablet. Harper crossed the room and took it when he offered it. Her fingers moved across the screen, zooming past the lobby balcony orchestra pit rear exits. "There," she said. "West loading entrance. It looks like it leads to storage, but it connects to the old backstage hall. From there, you can access the private boxes through a maintenance stair." Cole moved beside her close enough that his sleeve brushed hers. Harper felt it and hated that she felt it. "Her is not on the current security map," Miles said. "No," Harper said, "because it was marked as structural access, not public access. The cameras are probably focused on the lobby front doors and main staircases. If Graves is there, he will not sit in the crowd. He will sit above it. Cole looked at the route she traced. Can you guide us through it? Harper looked up. Cole's expression told her the answer before he spoke. You will be in the command van. No, Harper, no. I know that building. And that is why you will guide from outside. You need me inside. I need your eyes intact. The room tightened. Miles looked down at the tablet again, wisely silent. Harper stepped away from Cole. You do not get to lock me in a safer room and call it trust. Cole's voice lowered. I am not taking you into a theater full of exits, civilians, and men who may have orders to put a bullet in your head. You took me from my life because I saw something useful. Now you want to decide when I'm useful enough to risk. No, he said. I want you alive when this is done. This is not done. It started before last night. They searched my apartment. They took my father's things. Graves knows who I am. Cole's jaw tightened, I know. Then stop treating me like I can go back to being a bartender if you keep me far enough from the blood. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he said, You will be in the command van 2 blocks away. You will have our body camera feeds building audio and direct communication with me. If you see anything, you speak. If I tell you to leave, you leave. That is the line. Harper held his gaze. And if someone comes for me? Cole looked at Beckett, who stood near the doorway. Then they meet Beckett first. Beckett gave Harper a calm nod. I'm hard to move, ma'am. Despite everything that almost made her smile. Almost. Cole took the tablet from her, but his fingers brushed hers when he did. Neither of them moved for a second. Miles cleared his throat softly. Cole looked away. Prepare the team, he said. Miles left. Beckett followed. The study door closed behind them, leaving Harper and Cole alone with the theater plans glowing pale across the monitors. For a while, neither spoke. Then Harper said, You are angry because Victor betrayed you. Cole looked at the map. I am angry because I allowed him close enough to do it. That is not the same thing. In my world, it is. She moved around the desk, stopping opposite him. Daniel betrayed you too, but you let him live. Daniel broke under pressure. Victor created it. And Cole's eyes were dark. Graves profits from it. Harper nodded slowly. My father used to say men like that never swing the hammer. They just sell the nail and rent the room. Cole looked at her, then really looked. Your father sounds like he knew too much. He did. That is a dangerous inheritance. So is yours. A faint smile touched his mouth, but it carried no humor. You think you understand my inheritance? I think your father taught you fear was order. Your mother gave you poetry and you buried it in a room no one was supposed to enter. The smile vanished. Harper knew she had gone too far. She should have stepped back. She did not. Cole came around the desk slowly. Careful, Harper. That word keeps coming up around you, because you keep standing on edges. Maybe I'm tired of being dragged away from them. He stopped in front of her. Close, but not touching. The space between them became loud. Harper could feel the heat of him, smell cedar and rain on his shirt, see the faint shadow under his eyes from a night without sleep and a lifetime without rest. Cole's voice softened. You think I do not know what I am? Harper swallowed. I think you know exactly what you are. I think that is why you keep daring people to call you worse. Something moved in his face then. Not anger, something older. People who call me worse usually do not do it twice. I'm still here. Yes, he said. You are. The way he said it made her pulse change. Harper stepped back first, but the library wall caught her shoulder. She had not realized he had walked her that far. Cole noticed at the same time she did. His eyes flicked to the wall, then back to her face. He lifted his hand slowly. Harper's breath caught. He did not touch her. He placed his palm against the wall beside her head, giving her room to move if she wanted it. That mattered. It mattered too much. You should not look at me like that, he said. Harper's voice came out quiet. Like what? Like you are deciding whether I am the danger or the shelter. She let out a breath that almost became a laugh. Maybe I'm deciding whether there is a difference. His gaze dropped to her mouth. The room narrowed to that. Then a knock came at the door. Cole closed his eyes for half a second. Harper turned her face away, heat rising in her cheeks. Beckett's voice came through the wood. "Dinner is here." Cole stepped back. The distance returned, but not the safety. "Eat," he said. This time Harper did not argue. Dinner arrived in covered containers from a restaurant that had no name printed on the bags. They ate at the long dining table while Rain tapped at the glass. The food was rich and careful roasted fish, warm bread greens dressed with lemon pasta folded in a sauce that tasted like garlic butter and money. At first they ate in silence. Then Cole asked, "How many languages?" Harper looked up. "What you said, you translated contracts." "Oh." She set down her fork. "Spanish, Italian, some French. Enough Portuguese to avoid embarrassing myself. My father wanted me to learn Mandarin, but he died before he could make me miserable with tutors." Cole's mouth curved faintly. "You liked languages. I liked that they had structure, rules. If you were careful, you could carry meaning from one world to another without breaking it. People break meaning all the time. People are careless or afraid." Harper looked at him. He poured water into her glass, not wine. She had not asked, but he had noticed she had not touched the wine at dinner. "What about you?" she asked. "What about me?" "What languages do you speak English?" "Italian. Enough Russian to know when men are lying. Enough Polish to know when they are insulting me. That must save time. It starts fights. Of course it does." A small quiet settled between them. Not peace. Something adjacent. Cole leaned back. "My mother spoke French when she was angry with my father. Did he understand it? No. Then why she said some truths were only bearable if the person who deserved them could not understand them." Harper smiled despite herself. "I think I would have liked her." Cole's expression changed. So would I. The words were soft enough to feel accidental. Harper looked down at her plate. The loneliness in him had edges. That was the dangerous part, not the violence, not the control. Those she could understand. It was the loneliness that reached for something in her before she could stop it. After dinner, she found a black velvet box outside her guest room door. For a moment she only stared at it. Then she picked it up and opened the lid. Inside lay a bracelet, platinum delicate set with one teardrop black diamond that caught the light like a piece of night. Beautiful, cold, unmistakable. Harper carried it to the library. Cole was there standing near the shelves with a glass of water in his hand and his mother's blue book open on the table. He looked up when she entered. She held out the box. "No." His face revealed nothing. "It is not a request. I figured that out. It is for your protection." Harper laughed once. "You people really do use that word until it turns meaningless." Cole set down his glass. "Anyone who understands this world will understand what that bracelet means. That I belong to you, that touching you has consequences. Same prison, better lighting." His eyes hardened. "You think I want you marked? I think men like you confuse marking with saving." Cole crossed the room slow and controlled. Harper held her ground. He stopped a few feet away. "My enemies know your name. They searched your apartment. Graves spoke to you through an operation he should not have known you were part of. I cannot put a wall around every street in this city, so you put a symbol around my wrist. Yes, at least you admit it. I have never lied to you." That struck too close. Harper closed the box. "You lied by deciding which truths to hand me and which to keep." Cole's face changed at that. "About your father. Yes, I knew his name. I did not know his place in this until today. And when you did, you kept it in your pocket like everything else." He stepped closer. "I kept it because I did not know what it meant yet. It meant he was my father." Her voice broke on the last word, and she hated that it did. Cole saw it. The anger left his eyes. Not all of it. Enough. He reached for her, then stopped himself before touching her. Harper noticed. That was worse than if he had grabbed her. "I am sorry," he said. 2 words. Simple. Unadorned. They did not fix anything. They did more damage than excuses would have. Harper looked at his hand suspended between them and then slowly lowered. "You are good at control," she said. His voice was rougher now. "No. I am practiced at it. And if I do not wear the bracelet, then I assign 2 more guards, and Beckett stops pretending you can wander the penthouse freely." Her eyes narrowed. "There he is." Cole's mouth tightened. "I am not a gentle man, Harper, I know. You keep forgetting." "No," she said. I keep noticing when you try to be one." The room went quiet. The rain had stopped. Outside the windows, the city shone wet and restless. Somewhere below, sirens moved through the streets and faded toward the shore. Cole looked at her like she had opened a locked door without touching the handle. Harper set the box on the library table. "I won't wear it because you ordered me to." Cole's voice was low. "Then why would you? Because I choose to." His eyes held hers. "And do you not about the bracelet?" They both knew it. Harper should have walked out. She should have remembered her father's warnings. Sadie's fear, the fake license, the locked elevator, every reason a woman should not step closer to a man who made danger feel like gravity. Instead, she moved toward him. Only one step. Enough. Cole did not meet her halfway until she did it first. His hand came up to her face, slow enough that she could stop him. She did not. His fingers touched her cheek with a gentleness that felt almost impossible from a man who spoke in threats and moved armies through phone calls. "Tell me no," he said. The words were not a command this time. They were an exit. Harper's pulse hammered in her throat. "I'm tired of men deciding what saves me." Cole's hand fell away at once. He stepped back. The absence of his touch was so immediate it hurt. Harper looked at him, at the restraint carved into his face, at the war he was waging against every instinct he had been taught. Then she closed the distance herself. She kissed him. For one breath, Cole did not move. Then his hand slid to the back of her neck, and he kissed her back with the force of a man who had been standing too long at the edge of hunger. Harper gripped his shirt, not because she was trapped, but because the world had tilted and he was the only solid thing in it. The kiss tasted like rain and restraint breaking. He lifted his head just enough to look at her. Harper. Her name sounded different in his mouth now, less like a file he had opened, more like a prayer he did not trust himself to say. She touched his jaw. "You asked me, yes?" I answered. His forehead rested against hers. "This is a mistake, probably. I do not do anything halfway. I noticed." A breath moved between them. Then Cole kissed her again, slower this time, giving her time to choose each second. Harper chose badly, beautifully, recklessly. She chose the heat of him, the rough edge of his breath, the way his hand stayed careful even when his mouth did not. When the night deepened, the library door closed. The city carried on beyond the glass, blind and glittering. Morning came too pale. Harper woke in her own guest room, though she did not remember walking there. A folded blanket lay over her. On the nightstand sat a glass of water, 2 aspirin, and the velvet box. Cole was gone. Of course he was. She sat up slowly, her heart sinking before she gave it permission. The room was too quiet. Her body remembered him in places her mind refused to name. She reached for the box and opened it. The bracelet lay inside black diamond, catching the morning light. This time it did not look only like a collar. It looked like a question. Harper closed the lid. When she entered the main room, Cole stood on the terrace with a phone pressed to his ear. He wore a dark suit white shirt, no softness visible anywhere. Armor restored. King returned to the board. He saw her through the glass. His expression did not change. That hurt more than it should have. He ended the call and came inside. "We have confirmation on the Rialto," he said. No good morning. No mention of the library. Harper wrapped her arms around herself. "Good. Graves was seen there last night during setup. He may attend tonight's screening. Then we go. You will be in the van. I remember." His eyes flicked to her face. Maybe he heard the ice in her voice. Maybe he deserved it. He picked up a tablet and handed it to her. "The building feed will route here. Miles will connect you to our comms. I want you reviewing every entrance before we move." Harper took the tablet. Their fingers did not touch. Somehow that felt deliberate. She studied the map because work was safer than wanting tenderness from a man who had warned her he was not gentle. The day passed in preparation. Miles arrived with equipment. Beckett checked weapons with the care of a man polishing church silver. Cole spoke to men whose names Harper did not know and gave orders in a voice that made fear sound organized. At dusk, Harper put on dark clothes Evelyn had sent. Black pants, black sweater, soft boots. Practical fitted, not hers. She looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. Then she opened the velvet box. For a long time, she did not move. Finally, she fastened the bracelet around her wrist. Not for Cole. Not entirely. When she stepped into the living room, Cole saw it immediately. His gaze dropped to the black diamond, then lifted to her face. Harper held his eyes. Do not mistake this for surrender. Cole's voice was quiet. I wouldn't dare. The command van waited in an underground garage 2 blocks from the Rialto Theater. Inside, the air smelled of electronics, coffee, and metal. Screens covered one wall. Body camera feeds came online one by one, showing narrow alleys, wet pavement. Cole's hands adjusting his cuffs. Beckett's view of the loading entrance. Miles checking the rear corridor. Harper sat before the monitors with a headset over her ears. Cole's voice came through low and close. Do you have us? She adjusted the feed. I have you. A pause. Then softer. Stay with me. Harper's hand stilled on the keyboard. I thought that was my line. No answer, but she imagined his almost smile in the dark. The Rialto Theater glowed like an old jewel on Pacific Avenue. Its marquee blazed gold against the wet night. Wealthy donors crossed the sidewalk under umbrellas. Women in silk, men in tuxedos. Cameras at the front entrance. A restored silent film played inside, accompanied by a live orchestra whose music drifted faintly through the side walls whenever a door opened. Cole and his team entered through the west loading door. Harper guided them by memory and map, straight ahead. There should be a utility hall on your left. Cole's camera turned. There. Do not use the main stairs. They creak on the 3rd landing. Take the maintenance ladder behind the prop cage. Beckett muttered, She knows the building better than the rats. Harper replied, The rats had less paperwork. Cole's low laugh came through the line, brief and warm enough to hurt. They moved upward. On another screen, Miles fed her hacked security footage from the lobby. Guests took champagne. Ushers smiled. A senator Harper did not recognize shook hands near a marble column. Then she saw Gray. Cole, she said. His camera paused. Talk to me. Upper balcony, north side. Gray coat near the private boxes. Cole's body camera shifted as he turned. Harper zoomed in on the lobby feed. The man's hat sat low. He stood half hidden behind a velvet curtain. Her pulse quickened. That could be him. Cole's voice cooled. Moving. He and Beckett took the corridor toward the private boxes. Harper watched 3 feeds at once. Cole's view. Beckett's view. The lobby. Her mind narrowed, cutting away everything except movement and pattern. The gray coat slipped into box 3. Cole reached the door. His hand lifted. Harper's stomach turned. Wait, she said. Cole froze. The orchestra swelled below. What do you see? He asked. Harper stared at the footage. The gray coat had moved wrong. Too loose in the shoulders, too stiff in the legs. A man pretending to be another man. It's a decoy. Cole did not hesitate. Back! The door to box 3 opened from the inside. A man stumbled out with a gray coat draped over him and tape across his mouth. A terrified theater employee. Not Graves. Then the feeds glitched. One screen went black. Then another. Miles cursed over the comms. I'm losing cameras. Harper's headset crackled. The theater audio dissolved into static. Then a voice entered. Soft. Male. Polite. Miss Quinn. Harper went still. Cole's voice cut in. Harper. The unknown voice continued. Your eyes are every bit as good as promised. Her blood went cold. Elliot Graves. Harper looked at the van monitors. 3 were black. 2 flickered. Cole's body camera froze, then jumped. How are you on this channel? She asked. Graves gave a small, amused breath. Doors, Miss Quinn. I find them. Cole's voice was lethal. Harper, leave the van. A sound came from outside. A soft scrape against the rear door. Harper turned. Beckett was not there. He had taken position across the street 10 minutes earlier because Cole wanted eyes on the theater exit. The rear handle moved. Harper pulled off the headset and grabbed the nearest thing within reach, a heavy metal flashlight, from the console. The door opened. A masked man stepped inside with a gun in one hand and a black case in the other. He expected her to scream. Harper did not. She swung the flashlight into his wrist with everything she had. Bone cracked. The gun hit the floor. The man cursed and lunged. Harper kicked the weapon under the equipment rack and threw hot coffee from the console into his face. He recoiled. She shoved past him and fell out of the van into the alley. Her knee hit pavement. Pain shot up her leg. She scrambled backward as the man came after her, one hand burned red, the other reaching inside his jacket. A black shape struck him from the side. Beckett. The two men slammed into the van. Beckett drove his fist into the attacker's ribs, then his jaw. The masked man dropped hard, but another vehicle screeched to a stop at the alley mouth. A second attacker fired once. The bullet sparked against brick. Beckett grabbed Harper by the back of her sweater and dragged her behind the van. "Stay down." For once, she obeyed. The attackers fled into traffic before Cole's team reached the alley. By the time Cole arrived, the first masked man was gone too, pulled into the second vehicle during the chaos. All that remained was the gun under the rack, spilled coffee, a cracked flashlight, and Harper sitting on wet pavement with blood on one knee and the black diamond bracelet shining at her wrist. Cole came toward her fast, not controlled, not kingly, fast. He crouched in front of her and took her face in both hands. "Are you hit?" "No, Harper, I said no." His eyes moved over her, searching for injury, for blood, for any proof that his world had touched her in a way he could not undo. His thumb brushed dirt from her cheek. For a second, the alley disappeared. Then Miles said, "Boss." Cole's hands left her face. The armor came back, but not completely. Miles held up the gun Harper had kicked away. Serial filed off. Professional. Beckett stood nearby, breathing hard blood on his knuckles. He was not aiming for her first, Beckett said. Cole turned. What Harper pushed herself up, wincing as her knee protested. "He went for the laptop," she said. Cole looked at her. "In the van. He had a case. He reached toward the command console before I hit him." Miles moved fast, climbing into the van to check the equipment. Cole helped Harper stand. She wanted to pull away, but her leg wobbled, and his hand at her elbow steadied her. Miles returned with the command laptop. Drive was partially copied. He got some data before she stopped him. Cole's face darkened. "What data?" "Operation Root's team channel keys some internal access logs." Harper looked toward the theater. Guests were pouring out now, confused and frightened, while security tried to pretend nothing serious had happened. "Graves did not want me dead," she said. Cole looked at her sharply. "Not tonight. He wanted to know how you move, how you respond, who you trust." Miles nodded grimly. "And he got part of it." Harper looked back into the van. One monitor still flickered with corrupted footage from before the blackout. She climbed inside despite Cole's protest and rewound the last clean seconds. "Harper, wait." She slowed the footage frame by frame. The masked man approached the van from the alley. He kept his head down, but the side window caught a reflection from the street. A lapel, a small campaign pin, white letters on blue. Harper zoomed in. The image blurred, then sharpened. "Blake for governor." She stared at it. Cole leaned in behind her. The air left the van. "Senator Warren Blake Miles," said quietly. Harper remembered the man on the lobby feed, the marble column, the smile, the clean suit, the public speeches promising to save New Jersey from organized crime. She looked at Cole. "This is not just Victor trying to take your place." Cole's face had gone very still. "No, Graves is brokering more than a hit." Harper looked again at the pin. "They do not want to destroy your empire. They want to inherit it with a cleaner face." Cole's voice was soft and deadly. "Victor runs the street, Blake sells the lie, and Graves opens the doors." For a moment no one spoke. Rain began again, light at first, ticking against the roof of the van. Cole looked at Harper's bleeding knee, the bracelet on her wrist, the corrupted screen, the campaign pin frozen in reflection. Then he took the headset from the console and crushed it in his hand. Harper watched the pieces fall. The war had shifted. It was no longer hidden in casino shadows and poisoned bourbon. It had put on a campaign button, smiled for cameras, and walked straight into the light. The campaign pin remained frozen on the screen long after anyone needed to look at it. Blake for governor. Those 3 words sat inside the van like a loaded gun. Rain tapped against the roof. Somewhere beyond the alley, the Rialto Theater emptied into the street in a rush of silk-black coats, umbrellas, and frightened whispers. People moved quickly when danger touched the edge of their expensive evening. They wanted their cars, their drivers, their townhouses with alarms and clean sheets. They wanted to believe the violence belonged to someone else. Harper stared at the pin until the letters blurred. Senator Warren Blake had built his public name on speeches about cleaning up New Jersey. She had seen him on television at diners, union halls, church steps, promising mothers safer streets and promising business owners that the old criminal networks were finished. He smiled with the calm confidence of a man who knew cameras loved him. Now his campaign pin had appeared in the reflection of a man trying to steal Cole's operation files. Harper felt sick. "Blake," she said. Cole stood behind her inside the van. His silence had weight. Miles Carter leaned over the console, replaying the frame again. Could be planted. Harper looked at him. It was in a reflection. The attacker did not know the glass caught it. Miles did not argue. That worried her more. Cole took a step back and looked out into the alley. Rain streaked down his face, but he did not seem to feel it. Victor never had the discipline for this, he said. Harper turned toward him. But he had the ambition. Yes, and Blake had the image. Cole's eyes shifted to hers, and Graves had the door. The name moved through Harper like a cold hand. Elliot Graves had spoken to her through the headset as if he were standing inside her skull. Polite, amused, patient. He knew her name. He knew about her eyes. He knew enough to send a man to steal from the van instead of kill her. He was not improvising. He was measuring. Cole looked at Miles. "I want every photograph from tonight, every donor, every staff member, every driver on both blocks." Quietly. Miles nodded. And Blake. "Nothing public yet." Harper frowned. Why not? Cole turned to her. "Because a public man survives public accusations if the evidence is not enough to bury him." She knew that was true. Her father had believed evidence could save him. He had kept papers, names, dates, shipment numbers. He had believed the right file in the right hands could make powerful men answer for what they had done. Then someone took his body from a warehouse floor. Harper looked down at the bracelet on her wrist. The black diamond caught a shard of streetlight. What if Blake was part of what happened to my father? Cole's face changed almost imperceptibly. Almost. But Harper saw it. Her heart slowed. "You know something," she said. Cole did not answer quickly enough. Miles looked away. Beckett, who stood at the alley mouth with blood still drying on his knuckles, became suddenly very interested in the street. Harper stepped toward Cole. "What do you know?" Cole's voice was low. "Not here. No, you do not get to choose the room every time truth gets ugly." His jaw tightened. Rain slid between them. "Your father was tied to an old port investigation," Cole said. "Blake chaired part of it before he became senator. Thomas Quinn was listed in sealed testimony under a protected witness file. The alley seemed to drop away beneath her. Harper heard the theater crowd the rain, the distant horns on Pacific Avenue, but all of it sounded far away. My father was going to testify, yes. Against who Cole held her gaze. Men connected to the docks, political donors, shell companies. Some of them belonged to people my father did business with. And Blake. He was the man who made sure the investigation looked clean. Harper's throat tightened. Looked clean. Cole said nothing. That was answer enough. She backed away from him until her shoulder hit the side of the van. Her father had not died because he was unlucky. He had not simply trusted the wrong man in some small private betrayal. He had been part of something larger, something buried under campaign smiles and Port Authority seals. And Cole had known at least a piece of it. "You kept this from me," she said. "I was confirming it. That is your favorite excuse. It is not an excuse, it is control." His eyes darkened. Yes. The honesty hit her harder than denial. Cole stepped closer but stopped before touching her. "I did not know what Blake's connection meant until tonight. But you knew my father's name mattered." "Yes." Harper laughed once, small and broken. "My whole life people have decided how much truth I could survive. My father did it. The police did it. Now you." Cole's voice softened. "Harper, no." She walked out of the van into the rain. No one stopped her. That was how she knew Cole had ordered them not to. She stood beneath the weak alley light and breathed through the ache in her chest. Atlantic City shimmered around her, all wet pavement and neon lies. She thought of her father at their kitchen table, sleeves, rolled coffee cooling beside him, telling her to keep her head down. She had thought he wanted her ignorant. Maybe he had wanted her alive. A black sedan pulled up at the alley mouth. Evelyn Hart stepped out beneath a dark umbrella. Her silver hair was untouched by the weather, her face composed as ever. She carried an ivory envelope. Cole stepped from the van behind Harper. Evelyn looked between them, understood enough, and chose business. This arrived at the South office 20 minutes ago, she said. No courier record, no prints. Cole took the envelope. The paper was thick, expensive, sealed with black wax. He opened it. Inside was an invitation to Senator Warren Blake's private campaign gala at the Whitmore Museum. Tomorrow night. Harper saw the name before Cole could turn the card away. A smaller card slipped out and fell onto the wet pavement. Harper picked it up. 5 words were written in narrow black ink. Bring the girl who sees. Between the invitation and the card lay a single black feather. Harper's fear went quiet. Not gone. Quiet. Cole took one look at her face and said no. She looked up. You don't know what I'm going to say. Yes, I do. Then you know I'm going. No. Cole. Absolutely not. Evelyn's eyes moved to Harper, then back to Cole. Beckett muttered, Here we go. Cole's gaze cut to him. Beckett looked at the rain. Harper stepped closer to Cole. Graves connected Blake to Victor. Blake is connected to my father. They searched my apartment and took his things. Now Graves is inviting me because he knows exactly which wound to press. That is why you are not going. That is why I have to. Cole's voice dropped. You are not bait. I was bait the second Tyler looked at me across that bar. At least this time I know the hook is there. Cole looked furious, but beneath that fury was something worse. Fear. Harper saw it and softened by a fraction, though she did not step back. You said you trust my eyes. I do. Then stop asking me to close them. The rain fell between them. Cole stared at her for a long moment. Finally, he turned to Evelyn. Pull the guest list, staff list, floor plan, donor records, every exit, every service hall. Evelyn nodded once. Already started. Harper looked at Cole. He did not look happy. He looked like a man signing a treaty with his worst instinct. You follow my rules, he said. Harper held his eyes. And you follow mine. His mouth tightened. What are your rules? No hiding truth because you think it protects me. No sending me away when the room gets dangerous. No touching Blake until I hear what he knows about my father. Cole's silence stretched. Then he said fine. Harper knew what that cost him. She also knew it was not enough. The Whitmore Museum stood above the city like a temple built for people who wanted history to forgive money. The next night, its marble columns glowed beneath white lights. Cameras lined the front steps. Donors arrived in dark cars, stepping out under umbrellas held by men paid not to listen. Inside, string music drifted through high halls filled with oil paintings, polished stone, and champagne served by waiters trained to become invisible. Harper entered on Cole's arm. Her dress was black, simple, and close-cut, chosen by Evelyn but approved by Harper because she could move in it. Her hair was pinned low at her neck. The black diamond bracelet circled her wrist. Cole had noticed when she put it on. He had said nothing. That silence mattered. It did not feel like surrender tonight. It felt like a sign nailed to a door. Enter carefully. People turned as they walked in. Whispers moved faster than music. Cole Maddox with a woman. Not a model, not a hostess, not an ornament. A woman who watched the room as if she knew where the bodies were buried. Senator Warren Blake stood beneath a banner that read, A Safer Tomorrow. He wore a navy suit, silver tie, and a smile so practiced it almost looked natural. Beside him stood Victor Lang, clean-shaven, calm, dressed like a donor instead of a traitor. Harper felt Cole's body go still beside her. Not here, she murmured. Cole's hand covered hers where it rested on his arm. He did not squeeze. He obeyed. Blake saw them and came forward with open hands. Mr. Maddox, he said, warm enough for cameras. I did not expect to see you at a law and order event. Cole smiled. I enjoy fiction. Blake laughed as if it were a joke. His eyes moved to Harper. For the smallest second, the smile faltered. There it was. Recognition. Not of Harper Lane, not of the woman on Cole's arm, of Thomas Quinn's daughter. Harper felt her pulse steady. Blake recovered quickly. And you are Harper Quinn? She watched the name land. Blake's smile returned, but it was thinner now. Quinn. That name has history in this city. So I'm learning. Cole shifted beside her, but Harper continued. Did you know my father? Blake's eyes cooled. Only for a moment. Cameras were nearby. I meet many people in public service. That must make forgetting convenient. Cole's thumb brushed once over the back of her hand. Warning or approval? Maybe both. Blake leaned closer, still smiling. Careful, Miss Quinn. Old grief can make people see patterns that are not there. Harper smiled back. Old guilt does the same thing. Blake's eyes hardened. Then a photographer called his name and he turned away with the polished ease of a man saved by applause. Harper watched him go. Cole spoke near her ear. You got your answer. No, she said. I got his mask to slip. Across the room, Victor Lang disappeared through a side gallery. At almost the same moment, Blake's chief of staff touched his cufflink twice and moved toward the east wing. Harper saw a waiter carrying champagne switch trays with another server near the maritime exhibit. 3 movements, separate on purpose, connected in rhythm. Cole, she said softly, I see Victor. Do not follow him. Cole looked at her. She kept her eyes on the waiter. That is what they want. East Gallery, maritime exhibit, service corridor behind the ship model. Cole did not question her. He signaled Beckett with a glance. Harper moved first, slipping through donors and marble columns, letting the crowd hide her. Cole hated it. She felt that without looking back, but he let her move. The maritime exhibit was dimmer than the ballroom. Glass cases held old navigation tools, ship bells maps of the coast, photographs of men who had built fortunes at sea and called it commerce after the blood dried. The waiter placed a folded document beneath a display case beside a brass compass. Harper passed him without stopping. She paused near the case and angled her phone as if checking her reflection. One photo, then another. Names, Port Authority appointments, security rotations, proposed private contracts after Blake's election, a legal map for criminal control. Her father had died trying to expose the old version of this machine. Blake had built a cleaner one. A soft voice came from beside her. Your father was more cautious. Harper did not turn quickly. She would not give him that. Elliot Graves stood beside the display, dressed in a dark suit, gray gloves, and a calm expression. He was thinner than she expected, almost delicate. His face was forgettable by design, but his eyes were not. They were pale and patient, like a man watching snow cover tracks. You arranged the room where my father died, Harper said. Graves smiled faintly. Yes. Her hand tightened around the phone. Did Blake order it? Blake allowed many things. That is the art of power. Permission without fingerprints. You killed him. No, Graves said. I opened the door. Cole's voice came from the shadows. Step away from her. Graves did not look surprised. Victor appeared at the far end of the gallery with a gun hidden low against his coat. Guests laughed in the ballroom beyond the walls, unaware that history was about to bleed beside the ship models. Graves looked at Cole. The wolf brought his conscience to a museum. How sentimental. Cole's face was deadly calm. Harper lifted her phone slightly. Graves noticed. His smile changed. You are recording, yes, and sending yes, to whom Harper looked past him, to people you did not think mattered. At that moment, phones began to vibrate across the gala. Reporters outside received files. Evelyn received the photos. Miles sent the documents to 3 places at once. Sadie's old journalist friend, a woman Harper had met twice over cheap margaritas and gossip, received the audio of Graves admitting he opened the door to Thomas Quinn's death. In the ballroom, Senator Blake's speech faltered as donors looked down at their screens. Victor raised his gun. Beckett fired from the upper gallery. The shot cracked through marble. Victor's weapon flew from his hand and skidded across the floor. Screams tore through the museum. Champagne shattered. Security rushed the wrong way first because men in uniforms trusted noise more than pattern. Cole moved to Harper. Graves moved too, not toward the exits, toward the crowd. A man like him did not run. He dissolved. Harper saw the black feather fall from his sleeve as he vanished behind panicked donors and white marble. Cole caught Victor by the throat and drove him against a column. Where is Graves? Victor laughed through blood on his teeth. Everywhere you are not looking. Cole's hand tightened. Harper touched his arm. Not here. He looked at her. For once, rage obeyed her voice. Miles and Beckett took Victor. Blake tried to leave through the front entrance, but cameras were already waiting. Questions hit him like stones. His clean smile cracked under the light. Harper stood in the middle of the gallery, breathing hard, her phone still recording her father's ghost, suddenly less alone. Cole came to her. "Are you hurt?" "No." His eyes searched her face anyway. This time she let him. By dawn, they were back at the penthouse. Atlantic City lay beneath the windows, pale and damp, pretending morning made it innocent. Harper stood beside the glass and removed the bracelet. Cole watched without speaking. She held it in her palm for a long moment. Then she fastened it back around her wrist herself. Cole's voice was quiet. "You do not have to wear it, I know." Then why Harper looked at the city? Because tonight it was not a collar. She turned to him. It was a warning. Cole's expression softened just enough to be dangerous. His phone buzzed. He looked down. The change in his face told her before he spoke. Harper took the phone from his hand. An unknown number had sent a photograph. Sadie Monroe stepped out of her apartment building, coffee in one hand, keys in the other. In the reflection of a parked car window behind her stood a thin man in a dark coat. Elliot Graves. Harper's fingers went cold around the phone. Cole moved beside her, silent and lethal. Harper looked at the photo until her fear became something sharper. "He is not running from us," she said. Cole's jaw tightened. "No." Harper looked past the glass toward the city that had taken her father, stolen her life, and now reached for the one friend she had left. "He is inviting us deeper." Cole took the phone back slowly. Harper touched the black diamond at her wrist. This time she did not feel trapped. She felt marked by war.